The Canon EOS R5 Mark II was announced on July the 17th and started shipping just a month later on August the 20th. Yet 3 months later, and Apple has yet to provide support for the camera. Editors can't load Sraw and are forced to load entire clips, unable to set the in and out points when importing. Although we might have found a workaround, but before we get to the details, please subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything, helps this channel grow, and keeps you up to date on the latest camera coverage. I do an awful lot of run and gun. I'm shooting all over the place, generating terabytes of data. Some clips are small, of 5 to 10 seconds. Some clips are as short as 5 to 10 seconds, whereas other clips can be as long as 20 minutes. But since I got the R5 Mark II, as much as I enjoy shooting with the camera, whenever I try to load clips into my project file, if I want to set the in and out points, let's say grab 5 or 10 seconds of a 10-minute clip, I can't. I have to load the entire clip. And that's increased the project size of some of my projects, some of my full-length movies that are about an hour and 42 minutes, by some 20 to 30%. And that's given me a huge hit. Not in a good way in terms of storage space. So week after week, like a kid before Christmas, I've been waiting, hoping Apple would release an update supporting the R5 Mark II. However, I found this one card where I was able to load the in and out points of something that I had shot recently. I couldn't figure out why. It looked like it was formatted on the R5 Mark II, but I couldn't tell, but it had the exact same directory structure. So I thought, okay, I'm going to call up Apple. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of this. Well, on the first call, I spent an hour. Finally, at the end, they said, yeah, you need to talk to Canon. This is a problem with Canon. And I disagreed. I said, look, I can read, write, and execute off the storage, off the CF Express Type B card. But your application is having trouble reading. Now it can read the entire file, but it has trouble reading the in and out points. So I would conjecture that, I've got evidence to show that it's not a problem with reading or writing to the card, it's a problem with Final Cut accessing it. Well, the person disagreed and said, I'm sorry, you need to talk to Canon first. Well, that led me to a second call the day later, and I made a little bit more progress this time. Take a look here. Notice how that this EOS Digital up at the top, this is the one I don't have problems with, it's loaded in as a camera connected device. Whereas this one down here, EOS Digital, this is the one where I have to load in the entire clips. It's recognized as a device, and those items recognized as a device, all of them, you can't set the in and out points. Okay, so why is it recognizing the same type of card, a CF Express Type B card, one as a camera connected device where you can load the in and out points of a clip, or a device where you can't? And it took about 3 hours to get to this point, but you're going to find this funny. You see, if the card is formatted in the EOS R5 Mark I, I have no problems with any video shot in that camera by importing a clip based on setting the in and out point. Where if the card is formatted with the EOS R5 Mark II, and I try to load a video, well, what happens? It can't. I have to load the entire clip, everything. And worse, I don't even get to see the thumbnail, so I have to click on every single file to be able to load them up to see if it's the right file. Okay, but there's something else. Remember that one card I said that I was shooting video on the R5 Mark II and I was able to set the in and out points and load it in? Well, I got an idea. I took one of my 4 terabyte cards, brought it down to the R5, put it in, formatted it, and shot 2 clips, one 10 seconds and one 5 seconds. And then I brought it up to my Mac and I went to load the clips in. Again, I could set the in and out point, so I thought, great, okay. Now let's eject that card and put it into my R5 Mark II. And now I'm going to record a single clip of 10 seconds. Turned off the camera, ejected the card, put it in the computer, and guess what? We saw 4 folders as we normally do with the R5 Mark II. So then I went into Final Cut. And guess what happened when I went to load a clip by setting the in and out point? I was actually able to set the in and out point. This is really strange. if you look at the info behind both cards, one formatted on the R5 Mark II and one formatted on the R5 Mark I, well, what do you see? They're identical. They're both exFAT. There's something that's different in a very minute way that Apple goes, I don't recognize that. So, if you're like me and you're frustrated having to load the entire clips in, there is a workaround to this, but you need access to the R5 Mark I. Go ahead and put the cards into the R5 Mark I. Format them and then immediately put them into the R5 Mark II and you won't have a problem. I've been secretly recording to one card for about 2 months now, not realizing that the problem was that I could get around it. Because every time I tried with the other cards that I was using, whether it was for testing or what have you, I had to load all the clips in. So what I'm doing right now is a workaround. I'm formatting all my cards with the R5 Mark I and then sticking them in the R5 Mark II and formatting them. But this kind of begs another question. And Apple, I know you're watching. Can you explain to us why, if video clips are on the Macintosh hard drive or any other what you classify as devices, I can't set the in and out points when I'm loading in a clip? That doesn't make any sense to me. We're reading part of a file, a video file. Why can't I load in part of the clip? And if you're going to say, well, there's certain data on the CF Express card that it needs, that's horse hockey. Because as a test during all this, and I did lots of tests, I took some files that I shot with the R5 Mark II on an R5 Mark II formatted card where it was forcing me to load the entire clips in, and I copied those files directly to the R5 Mark I formatted card. And I didn't copy the CPF file, I didn't copy anything. So I know it can be done. This is one of those things that gets in the way of our workflow, that makes life difficult for us. So, 2 asks, please, if you could, it's been 3 months now, if you could release camera support for the R5 Mark II, it would be much greatly appreciated. But also, can you allow us to do an import on devices, attached devices, to be able to set the in and out point when we're copying? It would be greatly appreciated. And for those of you not watching Apple, let me know if this was helpful to you, if you were encountering the same problem. I didn't hear a lot of people complaining about this, but you know, for 3 months now, I've been loading entire clips into my libraries, and it's been frustrating me. It's changed how I shoot, because I used to just shoot until I got the shot. I could sometimes just shoot for an extra few minutes or two because I wanted to make sure I didn't risk missing the shot. But now when I'm out shooting, I'm just trying to shoot in 5 or 10 second clips, and it's so annoying. At least now I have a workaround. Let me know in the comment section down below if this worked for you and what kind of minor issues you're having with the R5 Mark II. This is actually, and it's not really a problem with the R5 Mark II, it's more with support from software. And I know if you're using DaVinci Resolve, you're not having this problem. And if you're still using Adobe, I'm sorry. Thank you so much for watching this video. Have yourself a great day, a great night, and we'll see you again soon. Oh, and one other thing too. Black Friday is coming up. I'm doing a live stream on Black Friday to cover all the latest and greatest, but check my description down below. There's a whole bunch of really incredible sales. Canon, Sony, and Nikon, and we're talking $500, $700 off, $300 off, some really big deals, and we can expect to see some more deals coming on Black Friday. But thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon.